Hello everyone. Welcome to the demo of PlantManager. The PlantManager.in, which is a software, cloud-based software developed by CNC Times Private Limited, is a software for production planning and control. Basically, we identified a problem solution or a problem segment where the ERP or SAPs of the world is not currently handling the resource utilization and the planning, scheduling, rescheduling aspect of the shop floor, which in our opinion, for any manufacturing job shop or manufacturing unit, is the critical element of the entire business. What we allow through PlantManager is, again, production planning and control, which will help improve your productivity on the shop floor, improve resource utilization, all your machines, how they're utilized, how they're booked and everything, help you save in time and money by whenever you get an order, how do you actually plan, replan, reschedule because of all the fluctuation and all the flux which happens at the shop floor, at the business, and then eventually basically help you grow the business. By means of that, basically we want you to track the real time, the finished goods at your shop floor, the machine utilization, whether it's optimal or not, the operator efficiency, how they are producing each shift by shift, and so on and so forth. If you need a further details of the demo, just come on to plantmanager.in and click on the request demo to fill up a form, and we'll get in touch with you. Today, I'm going to show you brief aspects of the software. So the moment you log in as a super admin. I'm logged in right now as a super admin. This basically allows you to fill up certain administration forms, which is a one-time activity for all your masters. Once your masters are done, you're ready to take the orders. I'll walk through the details. This is just the flow I'm showing right now. The flow is masters, then the customer orders. Once the customer's orders are done, you're basically going to your stores to make sure your raw material is available or not. If the raw material is available, you're ready to go and plan the order. Once the order is planned, we allow you to even control the production by making the daily production entries and the various scenarios in there, which I'll talk in details today. Once the production is done, you can do a quality control on it, reject certain items, accept some things, or rework certain things. And after all these inputs, basically you get tons of reports, which you can utilize for your own benefit and improving continuously at your business. So this is a dashboard which is shown. This is just a demo login, what we have. So certain aspects of your total orders at this moment, how many completed, how many are pending, how many planned, scheduled, and so on and so forth. How many are in process at this moment? In process in the sense, how many are actually in the shop floor. You'll get the machine utilization, operator efficiency, order status, in time and overdue orders, and basically the rejection and rework analysis in details. This is just a graphical version of what you do. There are reports which are details. Again, I'll talk about that. So first thing first is basically your administration. I won't walk through the details of each administration, but here's where your company details goes in. You can create as many departments as you want. Certain departments, which I'll show you in a new tab here, is basically the quality department, the stores, the marketing, the production, the planning. Basically, whosoever is going to make use of your own software here, your own account here. And then you can create roles, users, and certain privileges there for everybody, including your customers. So when you create a role, you can create a planner or a QC or an operator or a manager's administration and stuff like that, or even your customer. Create their user IDs and passwords and everything with their email IDs so that they can look at what they want. You can set the privileges in terms of operator will only see operator view, QC will only see QC view, and so on and so forth. The important masters here are essentially your resource master, which is nothing but your machine master, and your product master. I'll walk through these details. So once you define your capabilities of each and every machine in terms of what sort of capability it's doing. So right now this is like a sample thing in terms of melting, cutting, embossing, turning, and so on and so forth. Once you define that, now you can define your machine. So when you define your machine, essentially you can add a machine and you can give a name of each and every machine on your shop floor, and you can define the capability of the machine. If you have multiple capabilities per machine, you can even define those three, multiple selection, and go on, so on and so forth. So these are the capabilities we earlier defined. After that, you define the efficiency factor of that machine, and then you say what kind of capacity it is. It is a machine-wise capacity or product-wise capacity. I'll come to that later. If it's a lot machine. And finally, how and when the machine is actually available. Is it available like 7 days a week, 24/7, or certain particular shifts and so on and so forth? You can also mention the machine hour rate, and I'll come back to it when and how we will actually be using that machine hour rate. Once you define this machine, it actually just shows up in your machine list, and you can get details. You can active, inactive that machine at any point of time. That's in future. Future in the sense when you actually do planning and production at that time. You can do maintenance details of that machine. You can add capability and things like that. Let's jump into, there's a raw material masters also, where you can define your raw materials, your vendors, and so on and so forth. Let's jump into the product table, the product master. The product master, basically you're defining at this moment, you are going to define your component. This version of PlantManager at this moment is suitable for component manufacturing. Assembly is something, bill of material is something we are coming up with, but at this moment, it's ready for component manufacturing. So when you add a product, essentially, you're giving a product code, a product name. If there is any category you want to mention, you can define that. All the other details about of the component. And then you can go on and define its process. So basically the route of the component, how it's going to go from process 1 to process N. You can add as many processes as you want here. There's no limit. So if it goes through 30 processes before you actually get your finished product or component, each process you define what kind of capability it's going to happen. So if it's cutting, turning, drilling, heating, whatever it is. And then you mention what kind of raw material you are going to use for that. You can also mention at each process level whether you want a quality control or no. You may choose to have a quality control at every process, or you may choose after certain processes done. Let's say, for example, after process 3 and after process 5 and so on and so forth. Once you define the products, you are essentially ready in general to plan your orders. But let me just walk through the rest of the details, wherein other masters are, you can define your vendors, you can define your customers, you can define your shifts, you can assign your operators to those shifts, you can define your holidays. If the holiday is defined, the planning will consider it automatically, and there won't be any plan on your machine on those days. This ease of implementation, what we have given here is a mechanism wherein you can download a template, refer to a sample template, fill up that template, and upload all these masters. All these masters, what we're talking about, is by through one click. Once you fill up the template, you are ready to go. We anticipate roughly about 24 to 48 hours for anybody after signing up to get up and running, unlike ERPs and SAPs where it could take months. So that was one of the goal, where we can actually change the ball game and really improve the efficiency and really see where software can actually help you. Once now all these masters are done, essentially you are ready to take an order input. So let's say I got an order from a customer. I'm gonna give a sales order number. If it's available, you can create your own format and stuff like that. You can select a customer where this order is coming from. Select the product which you already added as a product master. The moment you select a product, all you essentially now need to do is what's the order quantity, whether the quantity is for 30 units or 1,000 units or 30,000 units and so on and so forth. Eventually, you would have to commit a date to the customer. Now, this is a tricky part because it's always today in our world when we are talking about Industry 4.0, IoT and everything, the small medium businesses or many customers actually are struggling to get this date right up to the customer, and we'll have to basically say, you know what, we'll come back to you in a couple of days and gives you the date. But I'll show you how we can use this software and get this delivery date. But for now, let's say you give a date and time and you save the order. If it's an urgent order, you can mark it here itself that this is an urgent order, and I'll show you how it's actually used in terms of when it comes to the planning. Once you submit an order, the order is actually available for stores to look at. Now, the tricky part here is not so tricky. All the communication from admin to planner to stores to production supervisor to operators, everything is taken care by emails. So the moment sales guy inputs an order, an email goes to the stores, and all stores at this point of time needs to say whether the raw material for the sales order is available or not. If it's yes, it's well and good. It's ready to go for planning. If it's no, they can say what is the raw material date and quantity where they can add a particular date and what will be the material quantity when it will be available. So you can also say, you know what, 50% will be available here, 30% here, and 20% here. And accordingly, planning will take into consideration those dates, and 50% will get planned on that date, 30% will get planned next, 20% will get planned next. So once stores actually says this, the order is now available in the planning section. The order flows from pending to scheduled to in process and to completed. Pending means it just added at this moment. Once we plan the order, it goes into scheduled. Once the scheduled date happens that it has to be ready for the shop floor, then it goes into in process. And once the completion of the order production actually happens, it goes to completed. So there are a few things I would like to explain here. So these are the orders, let's say we have inputted or we have actually gotten from customer. One of the first thing you need to do for the first time in its lifetime of a product code, you need to select machines for that order. So when you select machines, you're basically going to give a capacity per unit capacity of that machine in terms of one component, how much time it takes. You can say loading, unloading, and actually production time, and all of that gets calculated. So for the 22 hours, which are basically calculated in this demo version or demo account, as in how much of your shifts times are there, how much of your break time is there, and everything. So out of 24 hours, your production, your shop floor is running for 22 hours. In this example, you can make it 24/7. That's not a problem. But essentially, for this process, for this product where it's turning, drilling, and grinding, it's basically going to take L1 machine, which is the only machine I have of this capability. And I'm going to produce 30 quantities. Oh, sorry, for one quantities, I'm going to take 30 minutes is what we're telling it in here. The next thing you can do also is for drilling and taping, I have multiple machines available. So I can select as many machines as I want if that's the case. And I can also give the capacity calculator and see, you know what, basically I will have to whenever I plan this machine, just pick the first available machine here. So if it's the first available machine ticked, it will pick up that. If it's not, then we will actually look for the machine hour rate to make sure how we can keep your production cost down. So that's where the machine hour rate, which we added into Machine Master, comes into picture. One thing you can also do is you can also declare it as a vendor process, and you can say it's a part quantity. I want to ship it to vendor, or I want to ship it as a whole quantity to the vendor. The vendor process is slightly a deviation from the standard route, but it's available is all I'm trying to say here. If when we come to details, we can actually take a look at it. Once you're done with this order machine availability, the next thing you can do is set up the priority. In what priority you want to plan these orders. And it can be a strategic decision in terms of, the urgent orders are one thing, but also this is a regular customer, somebody's paying you high, or whatever reasons you may have. Once you can define the priority, and then you can select this and click on plan. The moment you click on plan, you are going to actually get a Gantt chart for each order, which are these color-coded order. You're going to get a detail about everything in the Gantt chart in terms of each machine and what kind of operation is going to have on each machine, its start time of a particular process to the end time. So these are basically your process, the route, which we were talking about. And the order starts here and order ends here types of scenario, and so on and so forth. If you're happy with this planning, you can save schedule. Once the schedule is saved, basically, or before that, if you're not happy, you can go back and you can change the machines, you can change the priority. There's another feature we have given is split order manually. If it's a big order for, let's say, 1,000 quantity or something like that, you can split it manually into, let's say, 5 orders, 200, 200, 200 each. That way you can maximize your machine loading, and instead of using the first machine or instead of using the lowest machine hour rate and stuff like that, you can basically load all your machines accordingly. But once you're happy with the schedule, the scheduled or the saved schedule moves into scheduled and in process orders. So these are my scheduled and in process order view, where pretty much everything is in process in terms of they have already started as of today's date. So now there are multiple scenarios here also, but before into that, I mentioned about delivery date. So when you are sitting across your customer and customer asks you, what is my going to be delivery date? The delivery date right here. You can plan that order and say, if I plan as a number one priority, what is my best case scenario? If I push everything away, what will happen? And if with my current planning, what is my current availability date? You can within instant get a date as per your shop floor and commit that to the customer. Now, when I come to the scheduled and in process, before I go to production page, what happens here is, let's say the real life scenarios. I'm already doing this processing and suddenly I get an order from a customer and it's so urgent that I want to stop everything and move rest of the orders. So let's say I get an order and I say order number 1 and 2 I cannot touch, but I need to put an order here as a priority 25, which is 2.5 here. I can do that, change the priority and do a forced reschedule. The moment I do that, what will happen is my order 1 and 2 remains as it is. 3, 4, 5 will go away, will move out. The new order will come here. And the entire plan remains as it is for you. Another scenario, a customer may ask you to actually hold the order. So let's say he just says, you know what, couple of days, I'm not too sure, wherever you are, just hold on to that order. I'll tell you if you want to, restart that everything. So you can hold that order. The moment you hold this order, let's say I hold this order, this will be gone from the planning and rest of the schedule will get pulled up automatically within seconds. Now hold, as I said, you can unhold in a later date. Some customer may say, you know what, cancel my order altogether. You can do a force complete of the entire order, or you can do a force complete of certain operations or whatever you want in any case. And then if essentially the order is canceled, it will never be available for to unhold. You just have to replan this. The details basically just gives you all other details in terms of your delivery date, your planned completion date, and actually as of today, what is your expected completion date, and so on and so forth. Now, once my orders are in process, basically all I need to do is go into daily production data, which is the control part of the whole thing. This is today's date, February 20th, and I have either shift wise or shift A. The moment I expand everything, essentially I get on each machine, what is the job card, and what is the process which is going to happen, what's the schedule quantity. Now the operator needs to input the production quantity and his name, and then enter the submit, right? He can select his name, whichever way he wants, and submit it. So once he does that, if the QC is required for this process, QC guys gets reported that such and such production is done. They have to either accept that after performing the quality control checks, or reject it. If they reject it, they have to select a reason or add a new one. If they rework it, they have to select another reason or add a new one. If you reject or rework, basically the same set of how many rejection or reworks are happening, the task will get created automatically and will get planned automatically. You don't have to worry about it, and it gets linked to this order. Now this is like a sunny day scenario for everybody, a happy scenario. There are certain scenarios which is the reality of the shop floor, and I'll talk about those scenarios right now. Essentially, sometimes the machine could go down, right? You can declare the downtime, select the remark that machine is broke down. This was the hours and minutes and so on and so forth were there, and record that. You can also say that there was job not available. What does it mean by job not available? Is basically telling us when store said that the raw material was available earlier, but in reality the raw material is actually not there at the shop floor. In that case, you can say job not available. You can also pull up certain tasks which are actually planned for future on the same machine and pull up those and say, can I do those right now here instead of the current planned thing? If the machine is down, you can also move this planned task to some other machine, to some other station. And that's also available as long as that's similar capability machine is available for you to actually take care. If this kind of thing happens, basically you are, certain aspects of it are taken care, which is the regular churn on the shop floor. There's another thing which happens on a regular basis is I never planned anything, but I do have machines available. Can I get something done on these machines? In that case, you'll have to just give a machine capacity, make sure all the details are filled in, operators filled in, and what kind of job you actually did, and submit it. It will help unnoticed use of your machine and will help getting the machine OEE calculated. Now with all these things, essentially we are getting the reports from the system. Some reports we categorize as a common report. Some reports we say it as a downloadable report. The downloadable reports are nothing but Microsoft Excel reports, wherein you can play around with anything to that extent. So the common return reports basically tells you the order status report in terms of what was your delivery date and where you stand. So red means you're delayed, green means you're good. But this is just basically the delivery date is this and the current expected completion date is this. That's how it's showing. You can get the details of it in terms of each process and what is the produced quantity, what is accepted, what is rejected, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, you can take a call on that. The next thing you can get is basically sales plan and commitment report, just as an example. Here you get these 3 dates: the delivery date, planned completion date, and expected completion date. The delivery date is what you promised to the customer. Planned completion date is the first time when you planned, what was the date at that time when it happened. And expected completion date is even after planning, because of all the churn, maybe urgent order came in, maybe certain order got canceled, maybe machine downtime, maybe rejection rework aspects. Using those aspects, what is the expected completion time? It could be ahead of time or it could be delayed as well, but that's what you get upfront. As I said earlier, you can create a login for your customer also. The customer can also take a look at all these things, especially only associated with their orders, not everything else, but it's up to you. You may not want to share gory details, but some of our customers, rather than avoiding phone calls or some foreign customers of theirs, they have opened this up. In the downloadable reports, we have given certain aspects of planning, production, and analytical reports. All these reports are heavily thought through from industry experts, direct inputs from our existing customers, and we are open to basically add more and more if it helps your business. So there are certain reports like machine booking summary. It gives you the entire plan for the month. There are reports like machine downtime report, what's happening there, the rejection analysis report, rework analysis report, the deviation in terms of sales plan and commitment report. Why did the expected completion date moved and what was the reason, and so on and so forth. We also give machine OEE as well as operator efficiency report, which are primarily important for our business, for your business, in terms of what we do. So people, that's basically the production planning and control software, a PlantManager, what we call plan, control, optimize. We have 3 types of solutions. Basically a cloud-based application, which is what I just demoed you. There's a mobile application also, which in general, basically we allow certain aspects like in reports as well as production data entry. The mobile and tab version is there. There are solutions where you can show these reports like daily schedule report, order status report on your shop floor as well, so that when an operator walks in, he or she knows exactly what's going to happen on my machine at what time. And accordingly, you can plan. So we encourage you to take a look at this. We encourage you to get in touch with us, request a demo. Again, plantmanager.in, powered by CNC Times Private Limited. And we look forward to hear from you. Thank you very much for your time today.